So you wind up going to trial, and you got what, 5 years? What do you? How many? 50 some months?
4 years and some change. Yeah.
And so
on 24 counts of mortgage, bank, and wire fraud. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
And
that's a lot of time.
Well, listen, it was women at that prison camp that had one count that was doing 10, 15 years.
What?
So when you think about 24 counts,
but
they had already said that the first plea they offered me was for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had already said if you go to trial, you're going to get more than that. And I'm like, fuck it, let's go.
Let's go. I like that attitude. I like that attitude.
I better had that attitude.
How did you feel when they said guilty and they gave you the time? What was going through your mind?
To be totally honest, and it's in my book, but I'm going to say it here, I remember when my trial supposer had went into the next week. Okay. And so that it was on a Thursday. The bailiff whispered in my ear, the bailiff, a brother. And you know how you go through the metal detector thing in the courts, sure. And you know, you take off your coat and all that kind of stuff. And he whispered in my ear and he said, don't wear that coat tomorrow, don't bring that bag tomorrow, and don't wear that jewelry. So I looked at him and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Carmen, you know, you did have a nervous breakdown from all of this. You're just being paranoid. He can't mean what you think he means because the trial don't end till next week.
So he already knew.
Yeah, they already knew what they were going to do. This is when I realized the injustice system is just fake. It's not what people think it is.
Wow.
And this is why the feds have a 98% conviction rate. Sure. It has nothing to do with innocence or guilty.
Right.
It's because your dumb ass decided to take a plea on a paperclip.
Well, that fear,
fear is a low vibration.
Okay, but it's also inside of you too. You know, when people get them years thrown at them, they tell them they better take a deal. You know, because
how could I lie and say I did something when I didn't?
Okay, how about this?
I was the corpus delicti.
No, you're absolutely right. But you know how many people are in jail for stuff they didn't do? Got long sentences?
That's my point. That's the point that I'm trying to make. It doesn't make sense. And it's like fear, male or female, are forced, they force themselves because.
But if I didn't do it, and they say it's this amount, let's say 5 years or 30, I said, I'm going to trial. And you go to trial, and you get that 30 years thrown on you for something you ain't do. You're like, damn, I could have did the 5 years, even though I didn't do it. But now I got 30, and for something I didn't do. What do you know? That's a heavy crown to hold in your head.
But it was no way as a practicing Buddhist that I could say I did something.
I understand. I respect that. I respect that. But that's you. But you understand why some people do that, though.
And I understand that this is why I'm the type of activist that I am today. I've sat in over 3,700 bond review hearings. You know, I am the director of Court Watch Judicial Accountability with an organization called Life After Release. Ms. Kiana Johnson is our executive director, and she put me in that position in order to be able to help people in Prince George's County to not deal with what I had to deal with.
Let me ask you, okay, so going to jail, what is it like? I mean, is it like, you know, Orange is the New Black? I mean, is it like that? Or is it
I never,
60 Days In?
I never seen any of those shows, and I never will. And number one and number two, I was at a camp. Subjectively, I was dieseled, so I went from place to place.
Diesel mean what?
They keep moving you from place to place.
Every couple months? Year?
Well, by the time my attorneys found out what they were doing, they had to locate me because the marshals kept moving me.
Oh, wow.
They got me to my destination as quickly as possible, but I was moved like 5 to 7 times or something like that.
And the whole full time you were there?
Before I even got to my destination, which was Alderson Federal Prison Camp. So my point is, I saw some horrible, horrible things before I got there.
Did you? Really? And for women do really horrible things? I mean, men would cut each other, kill each other. What's horrible to you? What's horrible to you in a female jail?
Well, first of all, as soon as you walk through the doors and the doors clink, clink, and they tell you to spread your butt cheeks, that's horrible right there.
They tell women to do that too?
Absolutely. Well, they told me to do that.
Well, you're a woman, so yeah.
Yeah, they told me.
Yeah, that is a little bit horrible. Wow.
A little?
Well, I ain't never had to do that, so I mean.
You don't want to.
I know. So okay, did you have friends? You meet friends? Did you meet people in there? Like, what's the first night like? You sit in your room? Did you have somebody sit with you? You by yourself?
Well, by the time I got to the prison camp, I didn't even remember my name.
Wow.
So I was so mentally messed up. Like I
Right.
didn't even know why I was there, how I got there.
I was going to ask you that, yeah.
But I remembered being a Christian, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered the native ways that my grandmother taught me because she was
Okay.
part Cherokee. And I remembered that. I did not remember being an activist. I did not remember being a Buddhist. I did not remember anything of that sort. I just remembered calling on the blood of Jesus and the ancestors.
Why? Is it because you went to jail? You say, you freaked out in jail, or somebody did something to you, or you saw the walls at nighttime? You know, now you realize you ain't getting out. What makes you lose it like that?
Well, first of all, when you're being raided 3 different times, that makes you lose it. With
three times a day, you mean?
3 different times I was raided before I even went to jail.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So they kept
Okay.
raiding me, following me. It was people running me off the road. And the thing is, not only did I have the feds following me, I also had the bank investigators following me as well. So
Wow.
I was being followed by just
So many people, yeah.
so many people.
So your mind is before you get to jail, your mind is already messed up.
I was already messed up. Yeah.
So when you get in there the first night, you're sitting in there, and do you realize like
The
this
first
is real?
night was at DC jail because I was arrested immediately.
DC jail, woo woo.
Yeah.
I know some dudes at DC jail, woo woo. Oh, I'm sorry.
You know what? You
Bad.
sure you haven't been there?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, you don't want to go.
I know that's right.
Trust me.
I know it is.
Yeah, but the first night it was really bad, and it reminded me of seeing like some old slave movies when they look at your teeth and your gums, and you know they ask you about your health and it's all kinds of crazy stuff. And they threw me in solitary confinement. And not to mention, I was arrested immediately at trial.
At trial, right.
And they said that I was dangerous, I was ISIS, I was a terrorist, and they had to get me off the streets of Maryland. And I was.
For bank fraud, you didn't do it, but for even thinking that you didn't mortgage it, now so you turned ISIS, you're a bomber and a terrorist. That quickly it changed.
Yeah, but they knew that I didn't do that.
I know, but I'm saying to label you like that. They don't label white folks like that when they do white men got white collar crime and stuff like that. They don't call them a terrorist and all that kind of stuff.
They did, and they arrested me immediately.
Wow, that is.
And my judge went to Morehouse. He was a brother, and his grandfather, they say, was an activist. So that was
Really
kind of strange.
That kind of that can be hurtful, yeah.
But what was even worse was when I got to DC jail and finally got in.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this, real quick. It was this woman. So when they was doing processing me in DC jail, and it was this woman. They were all fighting over wanting this little bag lunch thing that they had with the bologna sandwich.
Right.
Whatever that I can't eat that.
Right.
And so she sat down beside me. She didn't have any teeth in her mouth, and I remember her looking in my eyes, and she was like, "Can I have your lunch or your food?" And I was like, "Here you go. I'm not gonna eat this." And I said, "I'm getting out of here. I'm going home." And she was like, she looked me in my face. And all I remember is seeing her eyes and her gums. And she said, "You're not going nowhere. They got you now." And I'm like, "No, I'm going home. I'm going home." And I didn't get the benevolence to handle my affairs, my business affairs, my personal affairs. And anyway, I ended up in solitary confinement. It had human fecal matter all over the walls, all over the floors.
But why would you be in solitary confinement? Just curious. Why just to be cruel to you?
Well,
All right, go ahead.
So check this piece out. Human fecal matter all over the walls and floors. I remember falling to my knees. Mm-hmm. And before that, it was in the crazy ward or something, because women were hollering and screaming and banging on the walls and the doors and just banging and noise and making animal noises. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what is going on here?" And I remember falling to my knees saying, "Elo, Elo, lama sabachthani," which means, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" And I just kept saying it over and over and over again. And I don't know how long I said it. And then all of a sudden, and I'm metaphysics, by the way, and all of a sudden, God said, "You're the only one that can do this." And I'm like, "No, God, I got to go home. I can't do this. What you talking about? I got to get out of here. I got to go home." I remember thinking, telepathically to the universe, to God,
right.
I got to go home. And next thing I know, everything was quiet. The women had stopped, so I knew that God was there.
Wow.
Because the animal noises had stopped, the banging had stopped, everything had stopped, except that thought in my head, which was, "You're the only person that can do this."
if you like that clip, hit the subscribe button or the notification bell. Boom. In fact, why don't you hit both of them?